Welcome to tonight's town board meeting. It's hard to believe the holidays are here and that in just over a week's time we'll be kicking off our year-long celebration marking the town's 335th birthday. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy, blessed Thanksgiving and to share something with you that I know the town board shares with me the pride that we have in our town employees, our volunteers, and those from Food for Hope who yesterday did the finishing touches on Boxes of Love. There were 884 boxes that were completed and distributed today. Various social service agencies and organizations and churches within town that are feeding the needy were able to do so because of the generosity of so many people. You know, it kicked off with the supervisor's Thanksgiving breakfast, and so many people came out and were very supportive of the event, and it gave them the funds necessary to do what they did. So to anyone who was involved with that, whether it was just supporting the cause or actually getting in there and assembling everything, really want to say thank you. It, you know, at a time when there's a lot of acrimony and a lot of cynicism out there, it kind of restores one's faith in humanity and the humanity of those that live and work in the town of Islip. So I'd like to begin the meeting by calling two gentlemen to the podium. And I'd ask the town board to please come up and join me. And these two gentlemen are Islip Town Park Ranger Anthony LaGrasta and Park Ranger John Rivera. And, you know, would the commissioner and the deputy please come forward also? Last week, while patrolling the town of Islip on an average overnight shift, Park Rangers LaGrasta and Riviera heard a call come over the radio for a driver in need of aid whose car was in the canal with the driver inside. The park rangers, who were just a few blocks away, quickly responded to the scene at the southern tip of Ocean Avenue and Elder Road right here in Islip. When the rangers arrived on the scene, they could see that the driver had managed to free himself from the vehicle and was in the water yelling for help. Ranger LaGrasta called out to the subject, who answered his questions and immediately jumped into the frigid waters to rescue him. This happened last Thursday morning when temperatures were bitter cold before the snowstorm started, so the driver obviously did not skid on the snow. But the snowstorm was coming into the area. As Anthony swam closer to the subject, Ranger LaGrasta could see the subject lose consciousness. Ranger LaGrasta grabbed the driver's shoulder as soon as he was able to reach him and pulled the subject along the water to safety. The subject continued to go in and out of consciousness. Ranger Rivera passed Ranger LaGrasta a rope and jumped into the water as the two approached the dock. LaGrasta quickly tied the rope to himself and to the driver. EMS was already on the scene and lifted LaGrasta and the driver out of the water. They then immediately pulled Ranger Rivera to safety. By the way, it was Ranger Rivera's birthday that day. What a way to celebrate a birthday. All three were transported to a local area hospital and treated for hypothermia. Rangers LaGrasta and Riviera were discharged, thankfully, later that day. Please join me in recognizing Rangers LaGrasta and Riviera for their quick thinking actions. We're so grateful to you, to your expertise, and so glad you weren't injured, really. So thank you so much. And John, I have a citation for you. And the town of Islip pin. Here you go. Anthony, thank you so much.
Good job, guys.
More. Thank you.
Before we begin, I want to just share one other item of business that happened yesterday, last evening, as a matter of fact. I'm sure that most everyone is aware of the fact that after a competition in 3 years and 3 times of trying, the town was awarded a $10 million grant for downtown Central Islip, the hamlet of Central Islip, from Smith up to Suffolk Avenue. And there's a committee, a local planning committee comprised of various stakeholders from the community, civic organizations, the school, etc., police. And last night was the first community engagement public hearing, if you will. And I can't tell you how gratifying it was. And I know Commissioner Owens was there, Commissioner Meyer was there, participating, assisting, Councilman O'Connor was there. And it was so heartwarming to see nearly 300 people from the community come out who care about their hamlet and who really participated. It broke out into work sessions where people sat, neighbors next to developers, next to business owners, people involved in the schools and the civics, just sitting there working together, and the exercise was really brainstorming on what they want to see for their community. And at the end, they presented what each little group came up with, and it was very exciting to see. The presentation was videotaped, and it will be on ITV, so that you can see the whole thing in its entirety. But also, too, as we're going along this process, you can go to the town's website and go to the tab for DRI. You can download the PowerPoint presentation and ask any questions, have them answered. It is really a very community-focused, community-involved process that's taking place. And one of the LPC members, I see Anthony, is here from the Park Row Homeowners Association. He's one of the members of the committee. Anthony, would you agree that it was a great exercise?
It was exciting to see everybody
Yeah.
enthusiastic and very vocal about how this could revolutionize the downtown area, and their ideas were in line with the committee, which was great to see.
Yeah.
We're starting to get.
Yeah, everyone is kind of speaking from the same page, so to speak.
Great.
Thank you for being there. Okay, let us go now to the formal portion of the meeting. We'll begin with our scheduled public hearing for the board's consideration. I'd ask our town clerk, Olga Murray, to please read the hearing notice.
Thank you. This evening's hearing is to consider amending the Uniform Traffic Code of the Town of Islip in several fashions.
Are there any questions? I see Dave is approaching the podium.
David Lopez, Traffic Engineer, Department of Public Works, 401 Main Street, in Islip. Good evening, Madam Supervisor, members of the Town Board. Traffic Safety Division is recommending several revisions to the Uniform Traffic Code. If you have any questions, I would be happy to address them at this time.
Okay, are there any questions at all for the department? No. Hearing none. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the changes.
Motion by Councilwoman Bergen. Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you very much. Have a blessed Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. Same to you. That concludes our scheduled public hearing. We now go to the public portion. We have a number of cards that have been filled out, people wishing to address the board. Again, just to remind everyone, maybe in the spirit of the holiday season, we could try to be respectful. I know many times people are very passionate about what they're sharing before the town board, but I just ask that you be respectful. We're here to listen. It's not a question and answer session, but we are here to listen, and you'll have 3 minutes. There's a timer there, so you'll be well aware of how much time you have left. And our first speaker this evening is Lilia Bartolotta.
This one? Hi, I'm Lilia Bartolotta. I'm from Sayville, 77 Indian Head Drive. and I'm here to talk to you today about the effects of climate change in our local community. I joined the Suffolk Student Climate Action Committee, which I'm here on the behalf of, a year and a half ago, when I was in 9th grade. In the year and a half that's passed, our country has been subject to drought and rampant wildfires on 2 occasions in California. We have seen numerous hurricanes on the East Coast alone in the past few years. And numerous species in our country and across the globe have been snuffed out due to pollution and deforestation. If we don't do anything about climate change, or in our local community, or on the national scale, then Long Island is in a lot of trouble. For the past year and a half, we've been asking for the same few things, and we have gotten barely anything in return. We demand that we have a sustainability director, or somebody devoted to promoting sustainability in our community. We've been demanding this for a whole year now, and nothing has been done about this issue. If the Islip Town Board refuses to do little about climate change in the next coming months, then then my generation will. Because in the next few years, we will be able to vote, and we will be voting for climate change.
Thank you very much, Lilia. And just to characterize that the town has done nothing is a little bit less than accurate, I'll put it that way. I personally have met, and I know the town board members have met with students. Some of your expectations are a little bit less than achievable and practical, and as I've said before, we have to weigh what we can and cannot do. But I'm really delighted that our new commissioner of the Department of Environmental Conservation has taken on this issue wholeheartedly, and we'll be meeting with representative from the Suffolk Committee for Climate Change. I think they have an appointment, Marty, is that next week? And it'll be an opportunity for him to share all that the town has really done going forward and what we may or may not be able to do going forward. But I would hope that a lot of what you're sharing and what you're feeling and the passion you have about the issue, and believe me, we share it with you, but you have to be speaking to the right level of government too. And everything that you're saying to us, I would hope that you are also saying before the Suffolk County Legislature and before the bodies in Albany and Washington. The next speaker is Eric Stenzel.
Eric Stenzel, 80 Amy Drive, Sayville, New York. Supervisor Carpenter, as much as we can say that we have done something, what we want is tangible action, and here are 5 things that we think the town of Islip is well within its means to do. First, we want a commitment to 100% renewable energy for all municipal buildings by 2030. Second, we want a changing of zoning codes to mandate that all new buildings have the capacity and cardinal direction necessary for solar panels. Third, we want to hire a sustainability director in the planning department whose job shall be to investigate, create, and enforce pro-climate policy within the town of Islip. Fourth, we want further pursuance of becoming a New York State clean energy community. And fifth, we want a creation of financial incentives for renewable energy use and emissions reductions through subsidies, tax breaks, or tax penalties like a carbon tax. This issue is something that needs to be #1 priority for this township, #1 priority for this nation. You mentioned at an earlier meeting that we need to be patient. The International Panel for Climate Change says that we have 12 years to cut our global emissions by 45%, otherwise we are going to be suffering far worse than we are now with the occasional hurricane. There is no time left for us to be patient, for us to placate to the next election. What we need to do is take serious action right now at this point in time. If we continue playing this game of waiting longer and longer and longer, we are going to end up in a situation where we are not able to make the necessary changes. The question won't be how much can we reduce our emissions, but rather how high can we build those barriers so that water doesn't come and knock out all of the homes right on the shore. We need to take proactive action rather than waiting until the last moment. This is an issue which affects me personally as a 17-year-old who is hoping to live on this earth for at least another 80 years. For all of these children back here who have been to attend Sable and Sachem high schools, we need this issue to be addressed now. Because it is not going to be you, it is not going to be this board who is going to be living on this earth 50 years from now. It is not going to be you who are living there with our children. We need to address this issue before then. And I can't stress enough that the little actions we do now, the placing of one person on the Environmental Council, that is an excellent thing. That is something that we should be supporting, and we do appreciate that, noting on your Thanksgiving point. But we need actual physical action. And these 5 actions which we have listed here are things that this town can do. Because trust me, if our worry is right now about the money that this will cost now, I wonder how much that is really going to be a concern when we have to repair all of the roads from every time there is a massive storm, when we have to repair all of the poles that fall down, when we have to deal with all of these other issues which will be coming in the future. The economic decision is to take action now and not to wait until it is too late. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Melissa Hunter. Melissa Hunter.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. Hello, Melissa Hunter, 23 Clare Lane, Sayville, New York. I went to high school at Sayville, like these kids, and I just graduated 3 years ago, and now I go to Stony Brook University. I'm a biology major there, and I am taking courses that talk all about climate change and all about the issues we face all over the world, and it is completely astonishing to me. So I got involved with the Climate Reality Project about 1.5 years ago, and I am the chapter chair there at university, and we've been working towards getting renewable action on our campus, and we've been working with the town of Brookhaven. And I am here in just support of these young students, and I really hope that you take what they're talking about seriously. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Barbara Currick.
I checked these in over here.
No, thanks.
I wrote the names on them.
For each council
Yeah, I put their names on them. They're all the same, though. Barbara Currick, 65 Woodland Drive, East Islip, New York. Today I'm here actually, I have a very simple ask today. It's going to take very little time, costs nothing, and I just need some goodwill. I'm a volunteer today for the Long Island Progressive Coalition. They have created a Power Up Solar program, which is designed to help religious institutions and other nonprofits obtain solar. Power Up Solar Long Island is designed to reduce the cost of solar for nonprofits by bundling multiple projects to bid them out collectively, making use of tax credits through a third-party financing, and offering loan options to avoid upfront costs. By combining these strategies, they can reduce the cost of solar for nonprofits by up to 40%. The benefits of solar are not only environmental, they are also cost-effective. It saves money. Just ask Brinkman Hardware or any of the other industries and businesses in the town of Islip that have put up solar. I know you went to the King's, opening where their solar panels were put up. So the ask today is really super simple. We need help informing the public about the Power Up Solar program. We're asking that you send out information letters to nonprofit organizations and houses of worship. I have included a sample letter in the packets that I made for each of you. Also included information about the program and anything else that you can do to publicly support this program, like maybe convening community meetings to bring interested parties together would be great. I have another suggestion. I've had the privilege and the pleasure of being a volunteer member of the Islip Town Environmental Council. I think we're an underutilized resource. Please keep us in mind if you need any help with environmental concerns. We're here to help you, okay? We maybe even can help you get out some of these letters. Just really, thank you. I also want to take, because I see I have a minute left, climate is an important issue that we must think about globally, but act locally. And I totally support the students' requests. I think one of the things we really need to do, which is pretty simple, is appoint a sustainability coordinator. That would go a long way to to get some green initiatives undertaken. Thank you.
Barbara,
Thank you, Barbara. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Barbara, can you give me an idea on your electric bill, let's say like annually, or maybe you recognize it monthly, on how much you're saving on your solar panels at your house?
I do community solar. I don't have solar panels on my house because I can't have solar panels on my house. But I never open a bill in my house. I have no idea what any bill's in my house. Seriously, I'll move it to you.
Good for you. Wish I could say that. To the point of the Environmental Council, we are trying to work, more with the Environmental Council. In fact, our new commissioner, Marty, was scheduled to go to the meeting the other evening, but you guys canceled it, unfortunately. He was very disappointed, so hopefully next month. Next speaker, Valentina Arrieta.
Hello, my name's Valentina, and I live in Holbrook, and I'm here today to speak on the topic of climate change, like everybody else. And one, it's clearly something that affects all of us, and one that this community needs to be made aware of. Actually, I have experience working on political campaigns, county legislator, Senate, Assembly, and climate change is something that's of the utmost importance for everyone. And through working on those campaigns, I've found a passion for these issues, and that's why I'm here today. Last year we approached Angie Carpenter with an agreement that would help the town of Islip transition to 100% renewable energy, and she had promised to designate an individual in the planning division as the point person for environmental issues, and since signing this agreement, she has declined to have an individual with the qualifications to work as sustainability director. Climate change is not just something that should matter to me, but it's something that we should all be incredibly concerned about. This is not something we can keep putting off. Even today, we can see its devastating effects in action.
Could you just slow down a little bit? The reporter's trying to take what you're
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, okay. As mentioned before, we've seen extreme weather patterns, and as time goes on, it will just get worse. Just look at California. Dozens of lives have been taken due to the influence of warming temperatures and extreme drought brought on by climate change. And these near-apocalyptic conditions aren't the only devastating consequences climate change can bring on in the future. Even on Long Island, we need to be cognizant of the rising sea levels, which affect us directly. We need to stand up as a community and bring about meaningful change, because I want this world to still be here for my children and their children and so on. This begins with Supervisor Carpenter fulfilling the demands she promised us and taking even more steps in the right direction. These are just short-term goals. We need to look to revitalize the town of Islip as a whole.
Dave, you gotta slow down a little bit more, okay?
Okay, I have one more sentence left. And join the rest of the world in the fight against climate change.
Thank you very much, Valentina. James Lodano.
Hi, James Lodano, 39 Columbia Street, a couple blocks up the way, here in Islip Town. I work at Islip High School. I'm a teacher there, and I want to approach this from that angle similarly. I'd first like to address the students here and say I'm very proud of them. My students aren't here, unfortunately, but I'm very proud of them for showing up. I know when I was in high school, I wouldn't have been able to organize this or even muster the energy to do it, so I applaud them for that. They've touched on all the things about how the youth will bear the biggest consequences of the battle for climate change. I'm not going to hammer home these points any further. They've made their points on that. So I want to address them again and say that your actions here and your passion will go further than anything an adult will say, anything any politician will say, anything any teacher will say. Your passion here will be what really convinces the youth of America and the world to push forward. So I really applaud you guys on that. I'm pulling for you guys to get all your demands, and for the town as a whole, I've been a lifelong resident of, to address these things, especially towards sustainability. There's a bit of a difference between a sustainability supervisor and a conservation supervisor. They're two quite different things. So thank you, and keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you. Next speaker, Donna Rickey.
Oh, she's left.
Oh, okay. Bruce Kell.
Hi, good evening. I'm Brian Kell. I live at 646.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. 646 Sayville Avenue in Sayville. First of all, thank you for this opportunity to express my views on Gray Barn Sayville. I'm more concerned about this proposed development than I was a year and a half ago when the developer applied for a zoning change. Then the proposal was so outsized and, to me, frankly, slapdash that I thought it was simply a placeholder until the developer prepared a more thoughtful plan. But since then, the developers offered no revised plan. This, despite the fact that the developer's website says that they've been talking to the community, being inspired by the community, and making changes. This is patently untrue. What is true that's on their website is they say, quote, people move to Long Island because they love what it represents, open space, parks, beaches, and so forth. And although the proposed green belt, I think, around Gray Barn, Sayville, is a positive feature, the overall development's massive scale and building heights are just completely out of character with the neighborhood and, frankly, with all of Sayville. I think the location is also wrong. It's not within walking distance of the Long Island Railroad or restaurants or stores. It's located at the intersection of two very busy roads, Sunrise Highway and Lakeland Avenue, that already are, have bumper-to-bumper traffic during rush hour. I applaud the town for requiring the developers to consider alternative ways to develop the site, but at the same time, I'm a little envious of residents of other towns where the government takes a more active role in shaping the future of development. Oyster Bay town officials, for instance, insisted on an independent environmental review and formed a citizens advisory committee to work with the developers of the Cerro Wire site. Importantly, this has not caused the developers to walk away from the former brownfield and landfill site. In fact, one of the developers' representatives told Newsday, quote, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be long-term neighbors and partners here. I hope Islip will consider doing something similar. Island Hills is one of the few, as you know, green spaces left along Sunrise Highway. Why not try, at least, to develop the site in a way that enhances the town, rather than rubber stamp an ill-conceived plan after a lengthy but largely passive review that pretends to involve the community? Why not make it, listening to the students, why not make it a model for sustainable development? It's a large site. I just think there's so much more that could be done with that site. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Pat Montanino.
Pat Montanino, that don't work either. I wanted to begin with the increase that the board has chosen to take. In 2016, the board passed a resolution, the cost of living every year would be their increase. So in 2017, the increase that was taken by the board members was way above the cost of living. You chose to give yourself much more than what it should have been. You gave your, Ms. Supervisor, you gave yourself $1,025. It should have been $307. The town board members got $721. It should have been $231. But then you made it look good, and you didn't take anything in 2018. But now again in 2019, you're choosing to take more than the cost of living. These shenanigans will not deflect the fact to the taxpayers millions of dollars are missing from town recyclables. This is criminal. As a matter of fact, an agreement reached by Smithtown, Brookhaven, Southold, Lloyd Harbor, and Ashbroken all joined together for recycling. But Islip didn't want any part of it. What is that telling you? Further investigating brought me to the Brentwood residents. They're being totally conned with the Clemente Park. This is criminal, and the factual information can be seen on Facebook page of Patricia Montanino or isliptownshipwatch.org. The taxpayers speak, and you refuse to listen. You make up your own rules. And Ms. Carpenter, I just want to say, you are not the owner of this town. The definition of a supervisor is to sit on the town board where you preside over the town board meetings, you vote on matters with no more legal weight than any other board member. You have proven a liar and a thief of the taxpayers. Residents fighting for zoning issues, you'll be unhappy to know that the town has refused to show the requirements needed to be on the town board. Classes must be taken each year and a completion certificate. This is a New York State law, and the town refuses to give this information. And before I forget, the taxpayers were wondering, when is the home that the town took the taxpayers' money on Carlton Avenue 3 years ago and bought it for $420,000, told Newsday they were making a public parking lot, and as of today, it is sitting there doing nothing. And before I forget, I just was wondering, why does the town board amend codes when you don't follow your own codes?
Thank you very much, Ms. Montanino. And I don't know where you get your figures from, but I would suggest that you kind of verify your calculations with the town controller, because we did not do anything as far as deciding what a COLA adjustment was. That clearly comes from the controller. Next speaker, Tom Murray.
Does someone leave this phone up here?
The article's right here.
Someone leave their phone?
Somebody left a phone.
He's trying to help you. Sorry, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Tom Murray, and I live at 584 Bayport Avenue in Bayport. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, I would like to thank you for holding this meeting in the evening when more of your constituents can attend.
Stop.
And I hope that you will continue to have more of these evening meetings on the calendar for next year. I would also like to thank Councilwoman Mullen for helping to replace the tattered flag at the Port of Call in Sayville. It's greatly appreciated. And I have a few things I'd like to address, and I will be very brief. I'd like to remind the board of the sheer number of residents who came to speak out against the proposed chicken slaughterhouse in Islip. By Newsday's count, there were 300 people in attendance at the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. I've attended a lot of those meetings, and I've quite frankly never seen that many people there, and not a single resident spoke in favor of granting the proposed exception. Further, this has come up before. There was a previous poultry slaughterhouse that was proposed several years back. That was rejected. I would suggest that the board please, or recommend that the board please, put in a prohibition against these poultry slaughterhouses. It's very clear that the citizens don't want it, and if we have to go through these motions every few years, it just wastes people's time and money, especially the applicants who can look elsewhere for a place where they may be successful in having that said slaughterhouse. I'd also like to say a few words about the young activists that are here today. I'm very impressed and proud of them. When I was their age, I was more concerned about whose parents were going away that weekend, to be quite honest with you. But they have shown that they don't really have that luxury. Climate change is affecting us now. It's going to affect them more than it affects us. And quite frankly, the generations before them, including my own, have failed them. And I know they want to have kids someday, and I'm having my first child early next year, and quite frankly, I'm afraid of what Long Island is going to look like. And I hope that, I've seen other towns, East Hampton and Southampton especially, have begun to make some of these changes, so it's shown that it can be done on the town level. And you're right, we need to address this on the state, county, federal, and global level as well, but the town can and should take actions in favor. I'd also like to express my disappointment that the approved 2019 budget is not on the town website yet. I would love to be able to review that in full, and I will take the opportunity and hopefully have some questions and things to mention at the next meeting. But I will say that I do find it egregious that the board is increasing our taxes while also taking a raise. To use your own words, Madam Supervisor, it may just be just a few lattes to you, but to a lot of people in Islip, at $28 a year, that can have an effect. A lot of people can't afford fancy caffeinated beverages, and a lot of them are upset that we're being insulted while our taxes are being raised. Having said all that, have a lovely Thanksgiving. I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
You too, Mr. Murray. Thank you very much. Congratulations on your upcoming parenthood. And I want to just say something. That comment that I made was probably not the best comment I've made, and if it insulted anyone, I would like to take this opportunity right now to apologize. It certainly was not my intent. I was just trying to make a comparison. Next speaker, Greg Pepe.
Greg Pepe, Islip. I accept your apology when you compared the lattes, but the thing that's really galling is the pay raise. Why would you give yourself 1.9? Let's round it off to 2% pay raise when you just had given us a 10% raise in 2017. You increased your salaries then. So when Team Croce took office, we went up 28%, and over a 6-year period, now with you at the helm, it's 25.3, or a total of 53.3% in town tax alone. Let's not put the schools into this as well. Now you want to build these apartment buildings with rental apartments. And then you claim that the school taxes go up. Well, these people that are renting, they're not paying their fair share like the homeowners, like we are, to offset the school tax to have these children educated. So the more you keep urbanizing with Eric Alexander that wants to vision the city out here, okay, this thing is going to really backfire and big time on us, the homeowners, the single family homeowners that are struggling now to make ends meet, all right? And we're going to offset these renters with their children that are going to flood into the school districts. I mean, this is just common sense arithmetic, and you fail to even add numbers up. We have John Cochran over here with the electrical inspection. God knows what he's making on these projects with all the electrical inspections that are being done, all right? So, I mean, you know, you think we're not looking into this, but we need to change this board. Every single one has to go because you're not representing us, the people. Look at Lynbrook just last night. Those people came out and stormed, and the mayor of that village said, we're going to stop that development, that urbanization, 6-story buildings they want to put at the train station over there, all right? So this thing isn't just Islip, it's throughout the island. But you're setting some precedents. First with the Heartland, now Bayshore 600 units. Westbrook, God only knows what's going in over there. And where are those children going to flood to? Which school district? How much are we going to set the school tax to pay for those students? All right? So with that, have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too, Mr. Pepe, thank you. Next speaker, Todd Legley.
Lady. Close enough.
Sorry, thank you.
Hi, how are you? I'm a local 1049 and PSC&G power lineman. Todd Laley. I'm a Sound Beach resident. The reason I bring up PSC&G is because I feel like I spend more time here than I do at my home, especially after last week's storm. I'm interested in volunteering, throwing my name in the hat to be involved with any committees involved with the Roberto Clemente skate park. I'm a lifelong skater. I'm 47 years old. I suffered a below-knee amputation in 2009, and I still continue to skate. I'm noticing a lot of the skate parks around the island don't include adaptive athletes like myself. I'm facing difficulties. I'm the father of 4, and I've been advocating for skate parks for about 4 years since I brought this to the attention of the people involved with the Rails to Trails project in Shoreham Wading River. It was my feeling that they're building 10 miles of trail, but there's really nothing for kids to do or to go to on the trail, and it wasn't really for the target audience, the demographic that would really be impacted by community improvements like a trail or a skate park. It was more for, you know, the older set. So I have 4 years of advocacy under my belt. I'm the Tony Hawk Foundation advocate for Long Island. I have 2 liaisons there, Peter Whitley and Alec Beck. I sit on the board of the North Shore Youth Council through my volunteering for the last couple of years in my hometown. So I have a strong and deep passion for this. I have 4 kids of my own, and I'd love to see them skateboard, like, you know, enjoy. Skating saved my life. You know, I lost a foot from a motor vehicle accident. I had a compound fracture in my femur, and I returned to work full duty. I climbed poles. From being a skateboarder, you know, you learn how to fall and get back up. You learn how to manage pain. There's an opioid crisis out there today, and these kids go and get a tooth removed, and they're ending up opium addicts. You know, I've seen it firsthand. I have a lot of experience and passion to bring to the table. I would love to be involved and volunteer and help and just steer, you know, some of the creative input. So some features have to be added for adaptive athletes like myself. The plan would be, you know, work an 8-hour shift, hit the park on the way home, clean up, make sure the kids are wearing helmets, just do the volunteerism and activism I've seen in the other action sports I'm involved with, like mountain biking. Climb does a tremendous job at managing the trails. They have like 400 miles of trails on the island. I think people don't even know about it. Mountain biking saved my life. With the prosthetic, the bike forced my leg past its range of motion where it's restricted, and my muscle was kept from atrophying. So moving, health, outside, bringing skateboarding from the back alleys into the light. It's going to be in the Olympics this year. I'm running out of time. I'd love to join a committee or throw my name in the hat. Thank you.
Todd, you've restored our faith in humanity this evening. Thank you. But we're taking you up on it. I think that's awesome. We just sent the RP out on the skate park, so there will be a group kind of, you know, seeking that kind of input. And also just to let you know, we haven't done a tremendous amount of publicity on it, but we have in the past year established a Parks Foundation, and Councilman O'Connor chairs our Disability Advisory Board, so it's very sensitive to making sure that these things going forward in the town are available to people of all levels. But one of the first projects that the foundation is looking at is a kind of serenity garden, if you will, that will, you know, have walking trails and benches and artwork or whatever, but geared not only for maybe those who suffer with dementia or Alzheimer's,
There's a park
but also those that are on the spectrum.
Yeah, there's a park in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, which it's exactly what you're describing. There's a community garden. The pump track I'm interested in is gentle rolling hills that flow and enable someone in my condition to slowly learn and reacclimate themselves. It would work for someone dealing with any injury or rehabilitation. So, what do we do next? You want my number?
Well, we have your number, and we will be
Okay.
calling.
All right,
Thank you very,
so
very much, Todd.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Peter Corbin.
Good evening. I'm Peter Corbin. I live at 23 Pine Street in Sayville. I'm here because I'd like to find out if you can tell us the status of the agreements between Breckland Development and the town of Islip regarding the building has been proposed to go up just off Sunrise Highway at the old golf course that was there. I am concerned because I feel that the effects that such development as I know it so far, will have a serious effect on the entire area, and not just the village of Sayville, the town of Sayville. I moved there in 1978. I've lived on Long Island since I was 4 years old, so that's a long time ago. I've seen the dramatic changes that have happened, and I am concerned as the development moves east that it will really affect all the communities and the young people that are living out there. So maybe you could address that a little, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Corbin. I do know that that project is still in the environmental assessment process, but other than that, I don't have any definitive information, but I will have, your number is on here, I will have the commissioner call you and let you know what the status is.
I appreciate that. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
very much. And you all have a good Thanksgiving.
You too. Thank you so much. Bernie Corbin.
Hi, my name is Bernice Corbin. I live at 23 Pine Street, Sayville. Actually, my husband pretty much covered the territory I wanted to ask about. A lot of people in my community, they ask me, have you heard anything about what's going on? Are they going to bypass us voting on a zoning change, or will that just be allowed, that they can build the 4 stories? I think most people aren't as concerned with the building of a living area there, as long as it doesn't exceed the ability for the traffic in the area to be accommodated. We're already pretty stuffed in. I know when I came to the last meeting, it said something, they didn't even have enough parking spaces. If they built the 4-story thing, there wouldn't be enough parking spaces, and people would have to be, who live there or have guests, would have to be parking out on the streets around. Time like Thanksgiving makes you think about what that would do. But I just really pray that we're made aware of, and 4 stories is just, we don't need queens out here, and we really need to take into some consideration the bird sanctuaries and the other things that are around there, and the water table. That's it. With this sewers, I'm sure they can link into the ones that go up to Bohemia, but still, it would not be a good thing for Sayville. Thanks.
Thank you very much for coming down, both of you. And, you know, there will be notifications, website, press releases as we go forward in the process. Town Attorney, could you please just outline again, I know we're in the CEQA process, the mandated environmental review process, which is a lengthy process, and maybe you can touch on some of those things and what the next step would be once the CEQA process is completed.
Well, at this point, we're still waiting for their draft environmental impact statement. Once that's submitted, the board would, they can consider some alternatives to the proposal, or they can make a determination that whatever impacts have been addressed will be mitigated. But there'll still be at least 2 public hearings, I believe.
Okay.
And it's, you know, it's still a long process. I would say, you know, don't hold me to this, but at least over a year of process that needs to still go on before there's any final decision made.
Okay. Thank you.
May I follow up with
Sure.
a question to Mr. Patricio? Our friend Mr. Corbin used the word agreements. There are no agreements between the town and the applicant. It's a normal application process. The applicant submits what they propose, and then the town serves in the role as reviewer, holding them to all of the standards and all of the codes and all of the responsible things that any municipality would do. There's no sort of agreement.
There's no agreement.
Right. Just wanted to clear that up because that was the word that was used.
Thank you. Next speaker, Joe Fritz.
Joe Fritz, Brentwood resident. Good evening. I see since the last time I was here, the level of enthusiasm has increased. Unfortunately, I have to agree with you, Angie. Sitting in your spot is not a very pleasant one right now. and I used to get my entertainment going to, as a active person in the Brentwood community, going to the Brentwood School Board meetings.
Oh no, they have nothing on us.
Different venue now. I must come back here. And it's been quite a while. This is on a good note. Several years ago, when Tom Croce spoke at a local chamber of commerce, I made a commitment to him. I had said the town had dedicated a soccer field located in Clementi Park, needed to be reseeded and renovated. This park was dedicated to my brother Nick Fritz, a Vietnam veteran who was killed during the Tet Offensive in 1968. Frank Jones was the supervisor who dedicated this soccer field to my brother Nick. The commitment I made to Supervisor Croce was that our family was going to donate $1,000 when the soccer field was fixed up and renovated. Of course, during the Croce administration, the Clementi Park complex was decimated by the dumping of the debris in the park. Fast forward, I could see that the town has taken the steps necessary to remediate the complex, and hopefully next year it will be able to be a potential jewel in the town park system. My brother's soccer field lacks a few items which our family hope will be purchased with the donation which we are making. It needs first a sign to dedicate the field to my brother Nick Fritz. The sign has been gone for the last several years. And in addition, most of all, it needs 2 new goal posts, and it needs a field which should be able to be marked, which in effect show that it is a designated soccer field, so that a person can actually play a soccer game without worrying about where the boundaries lie, so you can see where the boundaries are. I think that the donation of $1,000 can be used for 2 new goalposts. The uses of markers and perhaps some soccer balls that could be put into the storage room. Perhaps we can get some funding from the town and from the newly minted state senator from Brentwood monies for an underground watering system that will make this soccer field a true gem in the Brentwood community. Our family wishes you and Angie and the rest of the staff there and also the rest of the council persons a happy Thanksgiving. And I want to wish you the best luck. Here's our check. It's on a good note, Angie. I'd just like to give it to you.
I'll take it, sir.
Okay, very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joe. We really appreciate it. And I think going forward, probably what we'll do is, I think we have to have a resolution accepting that.
Next town board.
Yeah, all right, we'll do that. We'll do a formal resolution, if you wouldn't mind coming back and presenting it then.
Right. If you could just give me a little, let me just do this. Let me give you a formal, this is my phone number. You just
Okay,
contact me.
and I was going to suggest that perhaps we'll set a meeting up with the Parks Commissioner and his team and, you know, decide what needs to be done and what we can do and move forward from there.
Absolutely.
It is irrigated, by the way. It is irrigated.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that it was all irrigated.
It's okay.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good sign.
Save money.
We've already started.
I know, it's
Here you go,
great.
sir. Here you go, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for coming down, I really appreciate
You want me
it.
to hold on to this? You want to?
Yeah, hold on to it, we'll prepare the resolution,
Tom, thank you very much.
and you'll do a formal presentation at the next meeting.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have no other cards. Motion to close the public portion.
Motion to close.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? The public portion is closed. Okay, we'll go to the agenda. First being the appropriation transfers. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion. Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second.
Second.
By Councilman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Next item of the bid awards. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion. Motion by Councilman Cochran. Second. Second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Next item are the option year resolutions. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion by Councilman Bergen. Second.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Item number 4, authorization to secure and/or clean up certain properties with the town of Islip, within the town of Islip. Taryn?
Good evening, Madam Supervisor, members of the Town Board, Town Clerk, Taryn Krasinski, Assistant Town Attorney, 65 Main Street, Islip.